was just over and over, hour after hour after hour. I was falling asleep at points.
Which is insane. This is insane. What you're describing is insane.
And he's literally going, Dale, shaking me. And I'm like, fuck, Toby. And he's like, I want to get this settled now, screaming at me. This little grin came on his face. And then he exploded, and his eyes like just
as soon as you said
wide. It? Yeah, as soon as I said it, this grin appeared. And there was this, like, you know, that dead calm. Just boom, dead calm. This grin appeared. And then his eyes popped open and he exploded. You were gonna pit the press against Leo?
Oh my god.
And it went fucking crazy.
Just one quick question. You said at the start of this, when you first met Leo and your friendship was first, blossoming, there was no power dynamic between Leo. He was still a down-to-earth, nice guy who was unaffected by the business. By the time you're at the end of, where is the sort of period we're talking about now, had that changed?
It was starting to.
Okay. You could see subtle things that were slightly different.
Yeah, well, he was also like he was much busier. Yeah. So there was that. But his behavior was changing, and he was doing shit that I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And this we don't have the time to get into this kind of depth, but this whole thing blew up with one conversation between me and Tobey Maguire that was more of an interrogation that lasted over 12 hours. And during that interrogation of Tobey to me, which was this period after Leo had seen the movie and approved of the movie, and then Tobey, that screwed Tobey up because Tobey was sure he was going to reject it. Leo being adamant about that from the beginning. So Tobey was just sure that he didn't have to worry because Leo was just going to say no Don's Plum, and that would be the end of it. Instead, Leo said yes. Tobey shows up. He wants the thing to fucking burn. We go into a 12-hour I go into a 12-hour interrogation with him. During that interrogation.
Right, so when you say 12-hour interrogation, so where are you at this point? Where are you? Where's this?
He showed up at my apartment. Me and RD we're living together, and he showed up at my apartment at about 7:00 in the evening with a box of Kraft Dinner, macaroni and cheese, and a bag of tofu wieners, saying he wanted to make us dinner that night and that he needed to talk about Don's Plum. So he made us macaroni and cheese, a meal I'm very familiar with.
Yeah.
And a box macaroni and cheese. And he made that while he came completely undone. And during that night, I tried to do my best to try to stop him from losing his mind completely. And I didn't realize that the movie was truly in jeopardy. Like, I didn't think he was actually going to be capable of turning.
So what's he saying at this point? He's expressing that this film can't go ahead.
Well, so that paranoia that I talked about that was building around us was in part being influenced by a lot of the things that I was seeing, at least for me, coming out of Leo. Leo was behaving in manners which I was just kind of shocked by, frankly. He was treating people in ways that I never saw him treat them. He was always very good to people. And then even on the set of Don's Plum, it got a little weird. Like on the first shoot, obviously, where he gets into this confrontation with the boom guy. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then he flicks the cigarette. He has a cigarette and he flicks it right at the boom guy's face. And fortunately, he missed and it hit the fucking guy on the shoulder, and there's a big spark. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. It's just
that's a crazy act, right?
Yeah.
It's so dangerous. In my conversation with him, I was like, you would lose everything. You'd lose everything if you hit that guy in the fucking eye, bro.
Yeah.
You take that cigarette, you flick it in his eye, and everything you own is his now, dude. And then everything after that is gonna be his. He's gonna fucking own you.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? It was weird behavior, and it was also like, who treats people like that?
No, exactly right.
I've been mad at people. I would never do that.
No, exactly right.
It's like treating him like an animal.
Yeah.
So and I wouldn't even treat animals that way. So it's just that's how bad it was.
I totally get what you're saying.
So there was a multitude of events that he did, including that one, where I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you behave this way? And I brought those up to Tobey that night. And it was part of that which he used to fuel a hatred from Leo to me, because he told Leo that I told him that I hated him, which I never did. I said, Leo's behaving in a manner that, is fucking questionable. And I wonder why. Like, I don't know if is it pressure? Is he worried? Because nothing had come out. He was at that point, he was probably doing Romeo and Juliet. There was a lot of Romeo and Juliet was also the biggest movie he'd ever worked on as a star. So as the star of the movie, the centerpiece of the movie, I mean, Baz Luhrmann's sets were fucking outrageous and expensive.
So in your head, you're just expressing your concern of how another friend's acting, right?
Correct. I was doing that
without
exactly.
realizing you're fueling, you're giving Toby exactly what he needs, which is ammunition. Even if he's willing to sort of, make up lies, all he needed
Which he
was
did,
that sort of one nugget, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, what I told you exactly, and then when I told you about the paranoia, so here's what happened. This is a condensed form, okay?
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't respect us while we're making the film, and he thinks that we're only going to ever make a shitty film in the first place. There's no real respect for us by anybody, and that's a fact. And so we're having to deal with that. Well, when we finished cutting the movie together, we put a screening specifically together for Leonardo DiCaprio and then the rest of the cast and crew. It's a cast and crew screening, and that's going to take place at MGM Studios. And so we get it all sorted and set and situated. But Leo doesn't really give a fuck about us, and he doesn't really give a fuck about this movie because he's fucking Johnny fucking Rocket Man, and he's fucking loving. he's loving life,
Rocket Man,
and he's fucking, he's loving life, and he's doing shit. And so he calls us up, and he goes, "Guys, I'm sorry, I can't come to the screening because Juliette Lewis's birthday is this weekend, and I promised I would fucking party with her, so I'm going to Vegas to hang out with Juliette Lewis." So he's now not going to come to the movie that we need him to come to approve the film in order for us to go out and fucking actually sell the movie.
Which shows the level of importance where this is at in his head currently, right? He's chosen a party over it, right? Okay, it's important to know.
So now exactly right. So now our executive producer, previous to all of this, made a mistake, and the mistake was that he announced through a writer, Anita Bush, who is a very big deal. And if you look her up, it's crazy. But she's a writer at Variety, at the Daily Variety. So he hooked up for her, and she wrote a small article in the Daily Variety saying that we completed principal photography on this movie quietly while nobody knew it. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio and ice storms Tobey Maguire. And so it's a very small fucking article, 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 4 sentences.
So what was the purpose of that particular?
So to rouse interest with distributors, right? Because it's right. Absolutely. So it's a Variety article. It goes out. Distributors read it. They go, "There's a DiCaprio movie out there that nobody knows about. I want it." Right. So it was a perfect plan. Well, Leo had not yet approved, so he put this press out, but we didn't know when it was going to run because Anita Bush said, "I don't know if it's going to run this day or that day or whatever. It's Daily Variety. This is a small fucking blurb. Nobody gives a shit. It's gonna make the editorial it can fit in. That's when it's going to run. So there's no guarantee of when it's going to run." Well, it just so happens that, and turns out to be lucky, that it ran the morning of the screening at MGM that Leonardo DiCaprio now said he won't be attending because he's going to be flying to Vegas to hang out with Juliette Lewis. Well, we get a phone call from Leo, a voice message, because we weren't there to pick it up, after the article hit the stands, and he is fucking livid. Like, I was
like, to an extent you had never seen from him before.
No, right. Everything was going to burn down. It was bad. Yeah. But at the end of this terrible message, he said, "I'm fucking coming to the screen tonight." Okay, well, at least he's coming to the screen.
Yeah, well, it's one way of getting him there.
The stupid article got him to the fucking screening.
Yeah.
So now, if you want to talk about pressure, bro, I was drenched in sweat.
Okay, so
in a fully air conditioned apartment, drenched.
Because you've just got a bollocking off Leo. He's now come in. He's already pissed off. So he's already got a bias coming into it. It's just like, this is like the worst situation.
Hundreds and hundreds of hours, penniless, working for hope only, and now this. Oh fuck! And all Jerry had to do was not run the article. So we tell Jerry that Leonardo DiCaprio is livid and freaking out and losing his shit, and Jerry's like, paranoid and upset, and he's like, "I just ran it to the distributors, and if he says it's not going to go," and he's trying to defend himself, his action, which, by the way, RD and I approved eventually. We're like, "Fine, do it," because it wasn't as if he acted, autonomously. So then Jerry blurts out in that moment, "Well, at least he knows we have a voice in the press." So in that evening with Tobey Maguire, of the 12 hours of battering down, Tobey got to the stage where he had this. He was obsessed with, "I want to know the worst thing that happened during the production of Don's Plummet." I was like, "Nothing happened. I don't know what the fuck you're looking for, Tobey." Nothing. He goes, "You are lying to my fucking face, Dale. You are lying to my face. Don't tell me nothing bad happened. Don't tell me there weren't bad thoughts. You tell me you didn't have bad thoughts. You already told me that you were upset about Leo for this. You already told me you were upset about Leo for that. And now you're going to tell me that you didn't."
It's basically that thing of like, talk until you tell me give me exactly what I need, right?
That's it. It was just over and over, hour after hour after hour. I was falling asleep at points.
Which is insane. This is insane. What you're describing is insane.
And he's literally going, "Dale," shaking me. And I'm like, "Fuck, Tobey." And he's like, "I want to get this settled now," screaming at me.
I mean,
so it's near the fucking end of the night. I'm falling completely apart at this point. And then he's like, don't tell me that nobody said anything bad. Somebody said something bad. Don't lie. You want to lie? I'm like, I'm not lying, Toby. I was like, okay, fine. Fucking, when that fucking article came out, Jerry said this. And that was it. That was the end of Don's point.
Yeah, because that's all he needed.
And in that moment, everything came.
Because that statement was enough to turn the whole ship, right?
This little grin came on his face, and then he exploded, and his eyes like just
as soon as you said
wide. Yeah, as soon as I said it, this grin appeared, and there was this like, that dead calm, just boom, dead calm. This grin appeared, and then his eyes popped open, and he exploded. You were gonna pit the press against Leo?
Oh my god!
And that was it. Went fucking crazy. Like, I'm screaming, no, dude, no, that's not what I said at all. And Jerry would have never pitted a press against Leonardo DiCaprio. Jerry Metters, in fact, was the lead catalyst behind Leonardo DiCaprio's Oscar nomination for What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which was put out by Paramount Studios. He was the executive behind getting that fucking nomination for Leonardo DiCaprio that Leo didn't even know about, because that's not behind the scenes shit that nobody knows about. But it was Leo. It was Jerry that got Paramount to spend the money on the lobby to get Leo nominated in the first fucking place. And all Jerry did was have that moment of weakness, and that's what I was confessing, so to speak. That and I said specifically to Toby, I was like, dude, fucking Leo's fucking making us all fucking crazy and fucking paranoid, and he just said something stupid. So that was
and
the
also,
worst thing
yeah, we have to be realistic
comment
about what was said. It was like, at least we have a voice in the press. It wasn't, let's turn the press against him. Like, that's a blatant statement where he'd be well within his rights to go, right, this guy's fucked. Let's get out. It was like, it was just a simple, it was a statement. I mean, it's not the nicest thing to hear, but it's like, it just plants the seed is all it does.
Yeah, and the other, and I just couldn't make these guys believe it. I didn't say it. RD didn't say it. This wasn't something RD and it wasn't our idea.
Yeah.
Look, I always believed, and I was very vocal about it amongst ourselves, amongst the filmmakers, that if Leonardo DiCaprio tried to squash a perfectly good film, because while all this paranoia was going on, we're like, constant question of, well, what if Leo turns it down? Like, what if he says it can't go? And we know we got this good thing going. And I just always said, look, I mean, if Leo's going to squash a perfectly good film, he's not going to look good doing it. And I never changed that. That's practically verbatim. I never really changed those words. Those were my words, because I think I stand by them, frankly.